You eating dessert already there, Brian?
Red licorice.
Are you pre-gaming for tomorrow's dessert run?
Remember what I told you guys last year? I said every Thanksgiving, my mom makes me my own pumpkin pie. It's going to be ready for me when I go over tomorrow.
You know, that's really special. And I'm not, this is not in a, do we have time for a short story long already?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there I was this morning, and I'm sitting at the breakfast nook. And it's like my favorite spot in the house because I can sit there with a cup of coffee and I can look right over to my left and I can watch Susie work in the kitchen. Now, I know there's probably some old timers in here and there's some guys who would appreciate that, but there's a certain joy, and I'll admit it, that I have watching my wife work. Now, don't get the wrong idea. Not like, you know, slaving away and like needs help. And I don't mean that, but like watching her work in the kitchen, doing things that she enjoys doing, the baking and all that. I like to just sit there and just watch her do her thing. And it's just like a thing. I sit there, she cooks. It's a beautiful thing. Right. Match made in heaven, you could say. All right. So anyways, there I am this morning. I've already started this thing off on the wrong foot. It sounds, it's not as bad as it sounds, I promise. But there I was. And last night or the night before, she had just finished making the pumpkin pies and the sugar pies and everything ready. Because, you know, pies are really good when you make them like a day ahead of time and they have time to rest and firm up and really just. So anyways, I'm sitting there and here are beautiful pies on the breakfast nook table. And I'm there drinking my coffee and I'm trying everything. Like I can't get a piece. I can't none of it. Like, I don't even think about having any of that. And so I look over at Fritz, the dog, and he looks at me and I look at him and he looks at me. And now Fritz usually sleeps in bed with Izzy. Well, last night, Fritz decided he was going to jump up in our bed and I guess we let him. So it was kind of like I did him a solid favor. He got to sleep in my bed last night. And so there was this unspoken thing, I guess, that happened this morning where I looked at him, he looked at me, we look at the pie, he looks at me, looks at the pie, I look at him, I look at the pie. And Susan said, no, that's for Thanksgiving. Don't even think about it. Okay. Well, she gets everything covered up and kind of puts it away. This morning I come here to the shop, get started, get things going. And she comes over and gets some shipments out and she's working on that kind of stuff. And then she goes home and I get a text. The text says, your dog ate my pies. Now, I'm thinking, oh, that's not good. You know how ladies are. They put a lot of work and these ancient recipes that were handed down from great grandma Bertha. And anyways, I'm thinking that's not good. So I go home for lunch. She's got Fritz kenneled up. Looks like he's in trouble. Maybelle, the Australian Shepherd, she's running around like everything's fine. I look over at the pies, and in each pie, there's like a paw print and a nose print right through the plastic into the pie. And, you know, I did what every good husband, I think, would do in a scenario like that.
I'd go right in.
And I just text her back and say, man, I'm really sorry. Sorry about that. They look really good. Let me go ahead and properly dispose of those for you. But then I realized that might have been too soon. Might have been too soon of a statement. Well, let's just say I've already started Thanksgiving. And I'm going to try not to yawn constantly tonight, but I've already eaten half of the pie and I don't even care. I eat right around. Yes. Now here's the thing about Fritz. Fritz came in the door yesterday with the entire lower carcass of a deer from somewhere. Somebody somewhere was hunting up a deer and threw the carcass, what was left, and he found it, dragged the whole thing back, brought it into the kitchen and dropped it. So he's been feasting on deer carcass for I don't know how long. And if anybody has any dogs who chew on deer carcasses, you know what happens next is the flagellance of any kind of a canine after eating deer carcass is just fierce and second to none. So now I've got this dog who's been eating all on deer carcass who got into the pumpkin pie, but I want to let you know that Susie's pumpkin pie is so tremendous. It's the best. It's the best. That I wasn't even letting anything that he may or may not have.
This pumpkin pie.
It was the best. I was not going to let potential tapeworms, E. coli, whatever there might be, stop me from having my own pumpkin pie. So I had half a pumpkin pie for dinner, 2 cups of coffee, and I'm already settling into that Thanksgiving nap already. So that's my story, Brian. I now have 2 partially dog smushed pumpkin pies just for myself. Just like you get the one for you. I got 2 dogged up ones.
Exactly. Who's this that joined in here?
Hey, Bruce, how's it going? We're just talking about pumpkin pies.
What's up, fellas?
You're stuck down in the basement.
Man, I'll tell you what.
I know what's going on up there in the kitchen, probably.
Well, that's a lot of that's already been done, but we got people visiting and kids running around, and
oh wow.
The guest room / studio is being utilized by my daughter and her husband. So
yeah,
I'm down here. That's why I was trying to get set up. I've been a little bit, you can maybe my voice, I've been a little under the weather too. So it's been kind of an interesting few days here, but I'm here. I made it.
It just clicked in my head. Bruce keeps saying it's like periodically he's like, I'm down here because the guest room's being used. I bet he's stringing his place out as a VRBO.
That's right. That's what we're doing.
Come and spend a night with Bruce's bees.
Bruce,
I thought you were going to say I've been relegated to that room, but that's not true. So
yeah.
The question that everyone's dying to ask is, Bruce, does your wife let you have pumpkin pie early, or do you have to wait until Thanksgiving?
You're going to think this is really strange, but I don't care for pumpkin pie.
Oh my gosh. All right. Shut it down. Brian, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll see you. Okay.
I can eat it with some good. I can
there
eat it with some good Cool Whip or whipped cream on there. But my favorite. I'll tell you what my favorite pie is.
The chocolate chip one, isn't it?
That is my favorite pie by far. Nothing
What's that called again?
We call it Toll House Pie, Kentucky pie.
Toll House
Kentucky pie. But it is. Oh man, I can eat that thing. I love those things. Very rich, but I could eat 2 or 3 slices without any trouble.
Okay. Are you allowed to have that before Thanksgiving, or do you have to wait?
Probably not. No, probably not allowed. But I haven't ever tested it. I just know I'm going to be so full at the end of Thanksgiving that I just kind of leave it alone until then. I've never been. It's weird. I've never been super tempted by it, to be honest.
What happened if the family's trusty canine happened to just get in there and disrupt a couple of those? Would you then be allowed to have a piece of that, or would you still have to wait?
Probably. If our dog died a few years ago, but if we did have a dog, I'd probably be allowed to have some then. Although,
all right.
Yeah, she was pretty short though. She was probably not even as big as Brian's dog, so she would have had a hard time getting up there to it. But
Eli can't jump up on stuff like that, so he's too little.
But yeah, had the dog had a taste of it first, I would probably be able to test it then if I wanted to. But
I'd go right in.
I don't know that I want to. Why? I heard you talking something about that as I was coming on, Greg. I understand you must have had a situation like that today. Otherwise, you wouldn't bring it up, right?
You could say it was divine intervention. I mean, it was a miracle.
I heard something about dog flatulence or something like that you were talking about with deer meat. And I mean, you just went down a rabbit hole there, but I didn't hear the whole thing, but I heard bits and pieces. So
this Thanksgiving season is just something eclectic, something beautiful. It's German short hair pointers, deer carcasses, pumpkin pies. And I got to sit around and I actually watched TV for a little bit, watched this documentary called, this is going to, maybe I shouldn't mention which one it is. But if I mention it and you've seen it, then you'll probably know what's up. And if you don't know what it is and you haven't seen it, then it doesn't matter. Don't judge me. A new documentary just released called The Age of disclosure. Dum, dum, dum. Very interesting things. Anyways, that's what it's about, Bruce. Pumpkin pies.
I will say though,
Yeah.
that if you guys haven't tried the Kentucky pie / Toll House pie / whatever you want to call it, for those who don't know what that is, it's a if you've had pecan pie, have you ever tried pecan pie? It's really good. And just picture that with chocolate chips mixed into it, and that's kind of what it is. Although it's even better than it sounds, it's just really good. That's my favorite pie. Just nothing else. I mean, I like several different pies, but nothing else even comes close to that.
Warm?
So
Is it room temperature, cold, or
I
warm?
like it. I like it both. Probably warm a little better, but I like it both ways. It's really good with ice cream or whipped cream on it, but it's also good just straight. It's just good. It's just a good period, however you want to eat it. But I think it's a little better warm, probably especially if you got the whipped cream or ice cream on there. So it's just,
Wow, can you imagine a nice
marvelous.
rich vanilla ice cream or vanilla bean or a French vanilla right on like a custardy? The custardy really
incredible.
rich right
That
on
would be
top
incredible.
of warm Toll House pie. Oh my
It would
gosh.
be incredible. Yes, I'm telling you.
Y'all
But there are a
got
lot of good pies. I'm not saying that's the only kind that's good, but that is my
me for
favorite.
that insulin now. Just
Yeah, I
think
know.
about that. Woo.
Yes.
Awesomeness.
So what are we talking about, guys, besides
I don't
pies?
know. We're just talking, just a couple guys, 3 guys hanging out, no big deal.
I mean, it is a bee chat, but I'm not sure.
We're going to talk about
more than that.
Pie and this Nestle pie and Fritz getting into the pie and, yeah.
I bet Fritz was in trouble.
Well, there's 2 dogs in the house. He's the orneriest. He could have been Maybell. He could have been the Australian Shepherd. She could have got in there just as easy. But Fritz, being a German short-haired pointer, that dog's nose is. If anyone has any bird dogs, they're wound up a certain way, and so, to his credit, though, if there is the potential for pie anywhere, and he was able to get to it, is the dog really in the wrong? That would be like that'd be like Susan leaving the pumpkin pie out with a plate and a knife and a fork and like whipped cream and a note, and that says, "Hey, if you can cut you a piece, you can have a piece." I mean, that's kind of like,
right.
You know what I mean?
You can't blame him, Yeah. I mean, Russell Koopman has a very, very important question there.
Okay, what is it? Let's see it. Castle Hives. You pop up on the screen there, Brian.
See there?
Do you eat venison steaks and roast, or do you have it all made into jerky?
You know it, buddy.
Sausage?
We've had butterfly chops. We've had the fillets. And Eli, even on his 3rd birthday the other day, had butterflied venison chops. So, yeah.
Wow,
He got a treat.
That's the gift that keeps on giving, if you know what I mean. If you have a dog and they get into deer meat. Yeah. Special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Russell, we did up the first deer that I had. I did like a typical kind of like a blend, more or less. Got the roasts and, a little mixture. The second one, it was, I got the tenderloins out, the back straps, of course. And then beyond that, I think I did mostly ground. So, yeah.
How about the offal? Do you slice up the heart and cube up the liver?
So I'll tell you what. I had never tried the heart up until my son's deer. And I've been watching a lot of just different things on different like cuts of meat and just different things that you can do with venison. And a number of people were commenting saying that the heart is exactly like eating a fillet.
Yeah, it's nice.
So I thought, well, all right. So when my son got his, I said, do you want, now I field dressed it out. He had never done one. We needed to get where it was sitting at. We needed to get it done like pretty quick and drag it the rest of the way. So I said, do you want to do it, me talk you through it, or do you want me just to zip it and get it done? He said, go ahead and get done and I'll just watch. So when I got everything out and I saw the heart, I said, do you want this? And he said, ew, for what? I said, that answered my question. Okay. So I cleaned it up, and then the next day, fried it, and I'll never toss another one. I liked it. I don't like liver. I personally, I don't like liver, so I'll never get into, eating the liver. I know I probably should save it, and I can use that, for like Eli and just different things like that. But I probably should start doing that. But yeah. So I know you probably get into all that stuff.
Well, if we run out of stuff to talk about tonight, we can talk about some homestead butchery and getting into raising and butchering hogs and beef and deer. But a little thought that I'll leave. I think beekeepers are pretty good at some critical thinking, and they can use some basic logic and then a baseline of understanding, and then think something through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, believe me, we still hunt deer and we eat deer, and I love it. But there was a point in my beekeeping career, I think the three of us, well, I know we three of us came from this same place, where we thought that raising bees a certain way was like the only way to do it. And we sort of developed this purist mentality where it was, we're going to do it this way or they're going to die. And the bees died, and it was a certain relationship, and we learned and we grew from that. A lot of folks, homesteaders specifically, have that same mentality when it comes to protein for the family table. And I'm going to throw this out there. Again, this year we will hopefully still hunt deer, and we will butcher it, and I love it, and we eat it. But there is this false line of thinking that venison is cleaner or purer than beef. That they are strictly an organic protein. But
so I did see, I've been like going down the venison rabbit hole as far as just watching all these different butchering techniques and just all this stuff, just because the very first one I took to the butcher because I had no choice. I didn't have time.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, I'm going to make time and I'm going to do every single one. And one of the articles and things that I was watching, I think it was I don't know whether it was video or whether it was an article, but they were talking about grams protein, all this and that, whatever. And venison actually has the most protein per, if you compare
per ounce. Grams per ounce.
I think it was 34 grams protein per, I forget the exact weight.
I think it's 3 to 4 times the amount of protein per ounce than beef. At least that's what they used to say back in the day. What I meant by how clean it was is we automatically assume that when we see a deer out there, they're just munching away on a beautiful clover bed or a grass bed here. But the fact of the matter, at least in our neck of the woods, what a lot of the deer are actually feeding and fattening on is corn and soy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So when you go down that rabbit hole, if you could have your protein analyzed for glyphosate or any herbicides or insecticides, you would find that their venison is not free and clear of that. Just like a beef, if they're on a corn or a grain diet, unless it's a even if it's the non-GMO organic, you will still find that there are residues in that which does affect the meat. So anyways, all I was saying is that just because the animal was shot in the wild and harvested in your barn does not mean that it is 100% free and clear of any kind of ick or gick that is in the environment. So just a little food for thought. Bruce, you see what I did there? Food for thought.
See there?
Yeah.
Here, I gotta pull up something here. Here we go. I want to show this. I gotta hold up my phone. I didn't, put in the effort here and have it transferred over to the computer and all that stuff.
Unbelievable.
So
unbelievable, Brian.
I'm slipping. Yeah. What's this?
That's an order from Hive Alive.
Oh,
in my back garage. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got, I think, 20 boxes of the fondant, and then in the different color box, there's supposedly a 10-liter container of the liquid concentrate. So that'll last me for a couple of years, and hopefully the boxes will last me for this year. I don't know. Last year I fed everything, but this year a bunch of them are heavy enough that, some of them have some of those colonies probably weigh 100 pounds or more right now. They're just so heavy and just glued together. The ones in the southern route down there are just, there's no place. They're just full of honey. So I know we've talked about before putting it even on the colonies with a lot of honey, and the bees kind of go up to it and it helps keep them strong. But I just don't know, man. Why spend that money if they're just, it was just an incredible fall flow in those 2 bee yards down south of here. They just had a great job. They did a great job. The ones in the northern route were more like normal. They don't have as much food in them, and I'll definitely be feeding them. But man, anyway. But I got plenty. I hope to last me for the rest of the year. If I need to order some more, I can. But for now, yeah, I tried to order more than 10 boxes on the website, and they said we don't send orders of more than 10 boxes. Call us for better pricing. And I guess what they do is they put it on a pallet, so it's cheaper for them to ship it. And that's what they did. So they sent me a pallet with it's pretty heavy though. Each of those boxes has each of those fondant bags is a kilogram. There's 15 per box.
30 pounds a case times.
So it's 15. It's 30 whatever. What is it? 2.2 pounds per kilogram. So it's around 35 per case times 20. Plus whatever that, so it's pretty heavy, and so it just makes sense that they would do it that way. But
wow.
Anyway, so I'm all in on the Hive Alive. I guess once again, I do think it's a good product. I know a lot of people use different things, and that's fine. But I've had really good success with it. I just about 3 years ago, I think, or 3 or 4 years ago, I started introducing it just on the weak colonies in the wintertime, and noticed that a lot of them survived. Last year, I just went in on everything and put it on everything, and so it worked out well for me. I had the best year ever. So why try to fix it if it's not broken, right? Just go ahead and roll with what works.
Oh yeah.
There's so many good benefits outside of just having the thing about Hive Alive fondant is it's not just a pack of fondant on there. I know there's a lot of knockoff products off there. A lot of Johnny come lately type things out there. But when it comes to the Hive Alive fondants, it's specifically designed and formulated a certain way. To have the input of the Hive Alive liquid mixed in there, and that is such a huge benefit to the fondant that the liquid additive is a force multiplier for the fondant because it's helping the bees do things during that time of digestion and metabolism that really makes a lot of sense to invest in it for them. So I think for you, Bruce, in your neck of the woods, you might have times in the wintertime where it's warm enough where if you needed it, if they were running out, you could put a bucket of heavy, thick feed on there and give them what they needed if you've got days in the 50s and 60s. But the fondant's nice because it's already inverted. Everything is already in there, ready to go. Did you, before Hive Alive fondant, Bruce, did you ever use dry sugar or anything like that for your colonies in Alabama? You probably didn't, did you?
No, what I did is I just put open feed out for them, and they get it on the warm days, and they take it back. It's just so easy that way. That's really the main way I fed before I started doing this, learning more about the different ways you can feed.
Did you try any dysentery or squirts or anything with your bees in the wintertime? Yeah, so
I have, but I had some issues with that a couple of years ago, big time. That bee yard up in Ozark, they just got sick. I don't know what happened up there, but I don't have too many problems with that usually.
That's more of a northern kind of a thing, but the Hive Alive fondant specifically, eliminated that issue with this because of the thymol. I think the Hive Alive additive that's in it. So yeah,
I know. I mean, and I know people listen, and this is my opinion. Look, if you have things that work for you that have worked for you in the past, there are a lot of different products out there. I think there are probably plenty of good products. All I know is that when Brian started using Hive Alive a few years ago, after we had recently met, I thought it was kind of a little bit crazy to spend that kind of money on the fondant. So I ordered just a little bit to try it and basically saved several colonies just because they were starving. And I think it helped. And it was like an emergency situation. And I've just been pleased with it. I'm pleased with both the fondant and with the liquid feed. I believe, though, there's other things out there that are good. But it's just been really good for me. And so I know it's pricey, but for me, it's worth it. Just the ease of application. I mean, you just cut the little square out of the top, or you fold that little lip back, and they just eat it. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to mix any sugar syrup. You don't have to put a recipe together and make your own. You don't have to guess on things and try and figure out a recipe. You just buy it. You slap it on there. And at my scale where I'm at right now, I've just found that it's just the convenience is time is money for me. And it's just so much easier. Just not to say I won't ever try anything in the future, but right now I found something I like and it seems to work. And my bees did better last year than they ever have before, for the most part, I believe. And so why not just repeat what works for me? And if all my bees die this winter, then may try something different next year. But as of right now, I think hopefully we'll be able to if I can get the mites down and get that under control a little better, which I think I'm in the process of doing that, hopefully. And if the weather cooperates, maybe we'll have a good year again next year. I hope so.
Yeah. You got wind.
Oh my goodness.
You guys are windy out there, huh?
Wow. That was intense.
We got, a pretty good wind.
Check the weather warning. That was
coming through most of Ohio, I think. So yeah, I went through, what day was it? Monday. And Monday, I think today we actually were still in the 50s. We started out the morning when I woke up, 6:50. I remember looking at the temperature gauge and it said 54. About an hour or so after that, I looked and it was 46.
Yeah.
We just had a steady decline all day. And now we're sitting at, 33. So, but I just figured, I normally say Thanksgiving is my time. The weekend after is that time where I normally toss the fondant on, but I just thought, you know what, I'm doing it. So 58, that's kind of cool down that way.
Yeah, it's freezing out there, man.
Yeah.
Got the parkas in the car.
It actually, you can see we had a high of 72 today. I didn't realize it was that chilly. I've been home a little while, but it looks like it's dropping. And we're going to have some highs in the 50s, lows in the 30s. So it's going to be a little bit on the cooler side for us. That'll be okay. But anyway.
The thing that you don't probably have to worry about so much down there in Dothan is I'm looking at the Weather Channel app off here to my right. And Brian, here it's 36.
Wow.
But it says it feels like 25. And so we've got about 20 mile an hour winds sustained. Earlier today, we had gusts where, the flag was standing straight out and it would blow your hat off if you were out there. So you're talking 40 mile an hour winds. Now, if somebody way smarter than me, which is probably everybody, but if anyone knows about wind chill, I'm not sure what that formula is, but right now, if we've got 20 mile an hour winds, and we go from 36 to 26, 23.3. Okay. You're getting off the same. Yeah. Imagine what's going to happen over the next 24 to 48 hours where I'm looking at my forecast. Now, hopefully we don't have the wind, but we're going to be like today was a high of 56. We'll be down to 18 degrees in less than 48 hours. That's not including wind chill. And wind chill is an important factor considering with the honeybees. So
our wind chill right now up here, I'm looking, is 22.
22.
So
my app doesn't tell me that. I wish I was smart enough to know how to do that. So you're at 22.
Yeah.
So you're dropping 14, 15 degrees.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cold. I mean, I went outside just to tinker with some Christmas lights real quick, and I had, like I normally do, I still had shorts on, and it was too cold for that.
Hey, Greg, on the iPhone app or just whatever's on the iPhone,
Yeah.
you scroll down a little bit near the bottom, and it says feels like with the wind, it feels like 54 degrees. I guess that's the same thing, right? That's probably the wind. It says
Are
with the
you
wind, it feels like
what weather app is that? Is that
it's
the
just whatever
the
comes on the
Apple one?
iPhone.
Okay,
I
so
don't know
I'm
what it's-
looking at the Weather Channel one.
It says just weather. The app is called Weather. It's on the iPhone.
I don't know if I've ever seen it. Let's see if it's on there.
Anyway, it's what came to mind. So
I'll take a look at. Yeah, I'll see if it's on there.
I think most of them will tell you somewhere. Right now we have wind of 8 miles an hour, gusting up to 18. So we got a little something coming through too. It's going to be definitely chilly, more chilly the next few days. And what's funny is you got it. My daughter's in-laws are here from Canada. They just flew in today. They might be getting here right now as we speak or around now. And they're coming from Canada where it's very cold and and we're not going to be really cold. It'll be warm and it'll be like
probably have shorts.
weather for them. I'm sure they will, but it's not as warm as it would be. That might be a blessing for them. Actually, it's not going to be as warm as it has been.
Yeah. 35.
Not going to focus. Let's see.
So I tell you, it feels like at the bottom.
20. There it goes.
Yeah.
Feels like 20. Now, that's at 35. I'm not as prepared as I would like to be right now with the bees. I still have way too many. I've got everything is still in the out yards. I've got 120 or 120 here at 100. There's 120 here. Everything else is still in the out yards. I got 120 here sitting on the ridge, just getting blasted with all this nonstop. I drove by today I bought an how do you say it? An anemometer, a wind measure. Because of how bad the winter was last year, I realized that where I had been wintering here on the ridge was a death sentence. And so I was trying to find somewhere here on a windbreak. And you guys have been out here, it's just nothing but rolling hills and a lot of steep rolling hills in a lot of areas too. So I was cruising around today seeing, okay, where can I go where it doesn't blow my hat off of? And so I found a really great spot that I think I can squeeze. I can probably get 240 in there, 260 in. But I wish I could find I bought an anemometer so I could test it for the wintertime. And I can't. You ever buy something like way too early and then you can't find it? And then when you actually go to find it, you ask yourself, okay, did it get moved that time where I got so upset that everything was a mess that I threw everything on the desk and around here into a container and then I moved it and I said, oh, I'll remember where this is then, but I'll go ahead and move it and get it out of the way now so I can have my space. That's happened I don't know how many times this year. So I don't even know.
I've never done that.
You've never done that? I want to be like Bruce when I grow up.
Oh man,
that's frustrating. But anyways, I need to get everything. Boy, she would kill me if I got up in the morning and hooked up the skid steer and a trailer and started hauling bees from the out yards and got them put away.
If you were semi close, the wife works tomorrow, so we're not going over to eat at my mom's place until probably 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'd work a couple hours in the morning.
Oh man,
2 hours is a little far though.
That's a little far for a couple hours worth of work. I got to get on it, and I'll go ahead. I mean, you guys know me enough, and all of our listeners, that I am not too proud to admit all the times that I make mistakes. Well, cruising by the ridge yard, I'm going through. There's probably 20 colonies that, as we were going down and pulling supers off to spin, we left the partials on there. Guess what dummy still left queen excluders on? Probably at least 20, maybe 30 colonies. So I'm going to have the walk of shame to go out there when it's like in the 30s and 40s to split boxes and pull excluders out, because I've learned that one the hard way. I've gotten by sometimes where they didn't need to get up into that super, but can you imagine what happens when that colony has to go through the excluder to eat? And then they get stuck up in the excluder or above the excluder, and the queen's down below. Then it gets cold and she dies. I mean, that's no bueno. But anyway.
This year, I think just for the gut punch, that happened in the last year or so, with my just steady decline, losing colonies. This year I said, I'm going to build up. I'm going to rebuild it. I think I spent more time just with the smaller tasks that every once in a while you overlook because you're like, okay, I'm pressed for time. I'm going to push that off to the side. I've already said I got my whole honey building. It's all prepped and set and ready for the whole winter. I went through, and I even on Monday, because I saw the weather coming up, and I even put a post on like the local bee club and just other areas. Hey, people, get prepped for the windstorm coming. I have all my colonies have the Hive Alive. They all have ratchet straps. Everything is just, batten down the hatches. So this year, as far as prep, I think I'm sitting probably the best that I have in a couple years.
Okay, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, Brian. How prepared do you feel for winter on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being awesome.
So I still would say an 8 or 9 in there, simply because the only reason why I say that is I've got 3 colonies of the 16 that are not as large as what I would like them to be.
Yeah.
All of the other ones, like there's 13. I mean, when I opened up, there were a handful of them that there were literally bees edge to edge on the 10 frame.
Wow.
And when I cracked the lids, I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, they're large. And that almost, now they've got weight. So if they didn't have weight on them, I'd be concerned. They'd be dead. January, February, they'd be dead. But they've got the fondant on them now. And then when we get into, I know in December, we'll get some warm days. You know how Ohio is. We're like a roller coaster. So they'll get their OAV. But, I say an 8 or 9 just simply because there's those handful of colonies that are not where I would like them to be.
Yeah.
But that's okay. If I lose 3 or 4, I want 15 production, solid production that are just pumping out, my honey crop for me. It'll be easy to do. If I come out of the winter with say 12, I mean, there's a couple splits there, and then
you can get back.
Oh yeah, it'll be back up, and then and then with that 8 or 9 too, I guess I'm chopping out a couple notches just because I do need to, and this is before my splits would occur, probably next May. I do need to cut down a couple trees and get like that bench that I'm talking about built. But I've got 5 months to do it. So I'm sitting good. I mean, it's probably, like I said, the best position that I've been in a few years. So,
Bruce, what about you on a scale of 1 to 10? I know your winter looks different and different preps, but if we were to call it right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel you are with your readiness for winter?
Let's say a 6. I don't know. I thought I was ready when I treated with the OAV, and then I realized I wasn't. So I still got to get the formic and about half the colonies. I got it in about half of them last week, and I got that many more to go this week. So not very. I mean, but it's much more forgiving here. If we had a really cold winter coming up like what you guys have, I would have been on it much harder, earlier, faster. I would have been really. But down here, it's way more forgiving. But yeah, I plan to. I go out there probably Friday and try to get it on the rest of them. The mite numbers were not as bad in the northern yards that the bee inspector checked. Most of them were a little lower, but still had a few. So I'm going to go ahead and treat them, I guess. Now, I will tell you this. When I was going through Friday, I haven't been in some of those colonies probably in a couple of months, and I've never had a harder time. I think I did about 60 colonies or so, something like that. I broke into. It was 55, between 55 and 65. It was just around 60, 55 to 60. I cracked into last Friday, and I was down in Slocum, and I was about to finish up, and I had about 2 pallets left. And I ended up, I think it was a couple of pallets left. Anyway, it was near the end. And I think 3 of the last 5 hives on those pallets, I've never had this happen before where I could not get the 2 boxes apart. They were so glued together. Wow. And what I had to do, I didn't take video of it, but it would have been people would have laughed at me because, the bees get a little chippy. I mean, if you just crack the lid off, if it pops off, that's one thing. But when you keep jamming that hive tool and they're trying to get the boxes apart, keep trying to pull them apart, trying to pry them apart, man, after a while, they just say, okay, that's enough. And they really come after you. What I ended up having to do, I have one of those. There's the standard Hive Alive tool that we use. It's really good. And it works great. That's my tool of choice. And then I bought that tool, that Iron Forge tool at the Bee Expo a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And those are designed, they for some reason are a little better at prying things apart, at least getting the boxes cracked apart. So when I couldn't get it done with the Hive Alive tool, I went and got that thing and I popped it and cracked it. And then I tried to pull them apart. They wouldn't come apart. So what I had to do on, I think 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them, I had to actually, they're on pallets, so it's not too hard to do this. I leaned them forward and I set them on the front of the hive on the ground in front of the pallet, just leaned them right over. So they were laying on the front of the hive with the 2 boxes, laying on the front. And I had to reach down from above and just
oh my
grab
God.
those and I just had to pry those boxes apart. It was unbelievable.
They had just have it propolized then.
And on all those particular boxes, and it waited till the very end of the day. Like early in the day, I didn't have any like that, but at the end of the day, it was the last few boxes.
Oh yeah.
But those bees on some of those colonies had propolized the outside of the box all the way around the seam.
Oh, wow.
So they were just, so they gone and they put propolis all the way around the entire seam.
Wow. That's cool.
So anyway, I need to do a better job when I crack boxes apart of actually probably scraping the burr comb off of the upper frames too. I do scrape the lower ones, but if they're glued together, if you just scrape the bottom box a little bit, I see Greg looking up at the wind there. Yeah, so I need to do a better job of scraping the burr comb off the bottom of the frames as well as from the box above. But it was something else. I'm just amazed at how strong those bees look. Even though I have had some mite issues, the bees, they just look maybe as good as they ever have. It's crazy of what a good fall flow can do for you.
Look at now. I didn't take any of these frames apart. I mean, it's been a little while, but Greg, you'll recognize these boxes here. But look at how this colony has the top of all the frames sealed up. Can you see that?
Oh man. Well, you definitely have some Carney or Caucasian going on there. Wow. Yeah.
I see that a fair amount because I have the patty rims on a lot of my lids, and they'll just burr comb it, just kind of like that. They just web it all together. It's kind of crazy.
I cracked that open and I saw that, and I'm like, well, you girls are sealing stuff up pretty good.
That's so encouraging too, especially when you've got a lot of propolis in there. There's there's the more and more of the research that comes out and the studies just show how important that propolis is inside of the colony. And I really think as we try to navigate through whatever this development in bees and virology and all the troubles that the bees keep having, I think that might be an incredible thing. Anyways,
did you happen to catch Keith's comment earlier?
No, I'm squirrel dogging like crazy here with this flag.
Look at this right here.
Where Dr. Peck discussed. Did you see the video released today where Dr. David Peck discusses the label change for AP bioxyl powder with Dr. Cameron Jack? 4 grams brood box is legal now. Wow, 4 grams. That's pretty much what everybody's using. Yeah. The AP bioxyl, I had stopped using that a little while ago because it seems to have a lot of trouble in our vaporizers because of the binder that's in there. It seems to get clogged up and kind of turn hard and crusty real quick. And I think it's a glycerin binder, if I'm not mistaken, that was in that. But 4 grams, I think that's probably, if everyone's being honest, everyone's are using 4 grams, if not more, because a lot of folks are using the instant vap, and so you're probably dialed in at 4. Or you guys realize that the overall capacity, should I be saying this? The actual capacity for the instant vap plunger, did you know that it's actually greater than 4 if you would like to go higher than 4? Because if you sit there and you just keep twirling the plunger up, you notice it goes up past the 4 hash mark and you get closer to 5.
I should bring mine home just to clean it out. And I've got a couple scales. I should actually bring some with me and weigh it out.
Do you remember that fun time when we had this conversation about the little blue caps?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day when the 5 gram dose was the dose because that's what a blue cap would hold.
Yeah.
I think, I keep going back and forth Tom and Melissa. I wish Rob would make an 8 gram plunger. Yeah. Those were great. I'm really interested in some developments in the extended release pads as well, to help fill in some of the gaps. But anyways, yeah.
Lisa, thank you. Bruce, thank you. Yeah.
Guys, it's been 49 minutes and 45 seconds.
Here we go.
Of Thanksgiving homestead talk.
Yeah.
Some bee talk, but
I do want to say, after we are off, and everyone, I know we probably will not be on like the usual hour and a half to 2 hours like we are, just with tomorrow being Thanksgiving. Folks have things to do, but I do want to say it would be 10 p.m. Eastern. Brian and Todd, I believe, are still going live because Brian messaged me the other day. And I forget, Brian, I know, toss it into the chat there, Brian, and I can, I'll flag it. But they've been, like, they have, I forget the name of their live, like Westward Bees or something like that.
Do you mean Brian Zavada?
Yeah.
Flower Street? Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. And
Nice.
Todd, they've been going live normal, like they've been doing it on Thursdays after Ricky is done with his, but with tomorrow being Thanksgiving, Brian messaged me the other day and he's like, hey, do you mind if we go live after you? I'm like, yeah, do it. So just let everyone know that, we probably won't be on, our normal amount of time, but let's see here. Here it is.
Finally, Bruce. It's the Bruce and Greg show with no Brian. We have no idea what we're doing here.
So it is, and Loma Vista, he says, Westford Bees, I guess they call it, comes on at 10 p.m. Eastern. So that's what he's talking about, I think. Todd's channel tonight on Loma Vista, Beco. So,
what's wrong with the screen? Brian, what are you doing? Brian, people are paying their hard-earned money, and they're here tuning in to us the night before Thanksgiving, and you can't quit clowning around with the screens. Let's get serious about this thing, Brian, okay?
it's on Todd's channel tonight. Westward Bees.
Uh,
Yeah, there we go. My Wi-Fi. So with the wind, the Wi-Fi here is starting to flicker and stuff like that. So if I do drop early, then that's going to be that.
Is it doing that? It's just doing that on its own.
No, that's
Oh, that's Greg.
what?
You've given Greg power over your channel so he can do that kind of thing.
he got into the pie. So
Oh, guys, I'm getting a little bit silly. I had too much nutmeg.
look at who it is.
Yappy. I saw Yappy on Saturday.
Being
Yeah,
Yappy,
we had
the guy with the boxes behind him looks so familiar. Bruce,
Yeah, it's hard to put a handle on it. That Yappy name sounds familiar too. I got to hang out with Yappy some on Saturday. Foxhound had a grand opening. Foxhound. I never went to their old store, but they built a nice new facility over in Irondale, which is just east of Birmingham, and beautiful facility. They've got warehouse space. They bought some. I think they bought some old warehouses there, right behind the new building that they built. I think that it is a store, but I think they also have an education, like a classroom in there, and it's really very nice. And so got to see a lot of local folks from Alabama. Craig Midget came down with some Hives for Heroes mentees came down. I guess he's just up north of the Tennessee line, and so he said he's about 2.5. He's closer than I am, about 2.5 hours away. I'm about a little over 3 hours away. Anyway, anyone in this area locally, they're doing a great job over there at Foxhound, and Adam over there has really put a nice thing together. Some beautiful facilities, so you should check it out sometime. And of course, he has everything that you need over there. But we had a blast. Yappy. We had a good time. Had a good time talking and meeting a lot of people there. So it was fun.
I saw pictures of that. Yeah, that would have been a good time.
Yeah, it was cool. It's real nice. Adam, they put a lot of work into that thing.
And
Greg, you know what it's like to try and put a facility together with all the things you need to be able to sell the price you want to sell and just do what you want to do. And Adam's business model is a little different than yours, but he's doing a good job up there. So I really like Adam's bee jacket. I've started wearing the Sting Stopper jackets. I like them a lot. One thing I do like about them, at least for my body, my torso is a little bit longer than some, and so the jackets are longer, and the elastic around the base is a little better, so the bees don't tend to climb up my back and end up getting me in the back of my neck before I know what's going on, and so it works out well. But anyway, we had a good day Saturday. Friday I spent putting Formic Pro in my hives. I hope that's the right thing to do. And then Saturday I spent up in Birmingham, east of Birmingham, and then Saturday night my BYU Cougars won, so that was good. So it was a good weekend for me.
See,
yeah.
Telling you, big football game Saturday up here.
There's a lot of big ones this weekend, so
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's one of the bigger ones in the country. But anyway,
yeah.
So what, folks in the comments down there, what do you think? I know a lot of you are up north and you're not down here in the south, but what do you think about me putting Formic on my colonies this time of the year? Like I say, it is different down here. Greg and I talked about it. I actually ordered the Formic from Greg and he sent it to me, and the temperatures were absolutely perfect to do it. You know, highs in the 60s, 70s, upper 70s, low 80s, mostly right around that 78 to 80 mark. And you see we got some cooler ones coming in the next few days. So really you want the daytime temperatures to be in at least above 50, right, Greg? But ideal is in the 70s, 60s, 70s, right, is ideal. So I actually called Tom Nolan from Nod Apiaries or whatever. It's the people that make the Formic Pro. And I was out there in the beehives when he called me back. And the bees were buzzing everywhere. I just wanted to confirm I was doing everything right, and I was. So we'll see how it works out. I'm always nervous about Formic down here, but I've used it a couple of times on some colonies and it's worked out okay. So hopefully it'll do good.
What's the bottom limit for Formic? Is it 50?
Less highs. I think it can get pretty cold in the evening, can it?
It can get a little cooler than that. I think the biggest thing is the high threshold seems to be the big problem.
83.
Well, 85 is what's listed. 84 is what most folks will use. But one of the things that we always tell folks, Tom came down and we ran through the yard here, and and showed me how he prefers to do it. Which, when you have somebody explaining it to you versus reading like the instructions, it makes a lot more sense. Bruce would know because Tom, came down and visited with him too. But one of the things that I've heard in our neck of the woods here that seems to work out really well with regular season formic is, even if you're in the the mid 80s, low to mid 80s, a lot of folks, including ourselves, find success just by putting an extra box on top, whether the bees need it or not. That seems to be really helpful, just to create a little bit more headspace, headroom for the bees there, and it seems to cut down like incredibly on any kind of mortality or loss. So ideally, you kind of time that when they kind of almost need to go into that next box and ready to kind of go up and work, rather than putting an empty box on there, and the bees are never going, not everybody has the means to have an extra box with frames laying around for every single colony at every time of the year. Sometimes you end up scrambling for equipment and throwing whatever you can on. But yeah, I think I like the idea of formic. I was telling Bruce, I'm where am I on a scale of 1 to 10 on where we're at with our operation? I'd probably say, probably sevens, probably sevens. Just because the numbers, the quality of the bees is the quality of the bees is an 8-9 as far as how what the population looks like. As far as the mite treatments, I would say it's probably more like 7, 8. But where my grading scale really drops is I just was not able to go right size everything for wintertime. So there still are some that had wet supers that we threw on just for them to clean up. Like I mentioned, there's still some that I never even pulled the excluder off of. Those are just things that I wasn't able to make the time to go do. So because of that, those ones are going to be a little bit more at risk. Having too much space in the colonies, having an excluder on there. And the thing that drives me crazy, and I Bruce could probably, if you ever move your colonies, and if your bees ever go onto a truck, and if you know what it's like to throw straps over top and button them down and take them down the road and undo the straps and move them and place them, and if you've ever done that, you would appreciate how much of a pain it is if on a 4-way pallet, one of them is in double deeps, and then on the same pallet, one of them is a single or a story and a half, and there's all this mismatch heights. Because when those go on the truck, the straps don't hit. You've got stuff at the strap, then you're throwing empty shells and boxes on to make up for, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm really thinking I'm about 90% sure a lot of my moves next year, everything is going into deeps. And I know it's going to be it's going to be a bigger pain to spin honey and do all that, but I'm really thinking seriously about migrating everything to double deeps and phasing out the mediums completely, other than if we have really tight windows for flows. Is Brian? Yes, Brian. Yes, Brian.
Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking in my head while you're talking, and for some odd reason, I had the thought in my head pop up like, Brian, if you want 15 production colonies, you probably need 3 supers for every production colony just to stay ahead of things. And I've only got 30 or so supers.
Oh, so you're going to
welcome to the big time, Brian.
You're going to be
when you buy stuff, you can't just buy one. You got to buy 30.
Well, yeah, Brian, I know a guy who might be selling off some wax dipped 10 frame mediums. If that's the way that I go, I got a hard time parting with equipment. It just goes into stacks later stuff. But
yeah, we'll talk.
It's hard to, if you could, I don't know that our black locust flow is stout enough for a deep super. The problem is when you're a northern beekeeper, Ohio has become this weird no man's land in between northern beekeeping and southern beekeeping, and not in a good way, where the flows aren't necessarily heavy enough in the spring to fill deep supers, right? And so it hits or it doesn't, and there's this weird trickle. You go to throw deep supers on, and there's not a heavy flow on. It's like the bees don't go anywhere. But then sometimes if there's just enough flow and you put those medium supers on without an excluder, you end up with brood in the top medium box. And then if you're lucky enough and it does hit and you're working with mediums, you've got the first medium super on above a single deep or maybe even over doubles. And maybe they do start to work that a little bit, and you throw the next one on, and it's just, I'm in honey purgatory, Tom. That's exactly what it feels like. There's just this weird space where you give them too much space or they don't have enough. And if you're somewhere in between, there's brood. And then it's like, okay, then I got excluders on everything. I'm seriously contemplating just going to all double deeps. If I'll get the honey off what I can, but I'm just getting so aggravated with the constant, this is in doubles, this is a story and a half, that's a single.
Well, you're not,
it drives me crazy.
Like, for you to go to all deeps though, you're not, your focus isn't necessarily producing a honey crop.
Right.
That's like secondary, or that's probably third down the line.
Yeah.
Your main crop is you produce bees.
Right.
So if you standardized equipment throughout the operation and didn't have to mess with different box sizes, then it's just, I need X number of boxes and they're all the same.
But Greg, would you still use deeps for honey supers too, or would you use mediums for the honey supers?
I would probably use deeps for everything. And then when we got into like really, really good flows, then I would probably throw mediums on just to capture that little bit of extra, just primarily because one of the absolute big. So in my area, what I have found is story and a halves or double deeps over winter, the best. I prefer double deeps because coming out of the spring, I've got 20 of the same format frame to do something with. If I want to go through and cut them all to pieces for splits, it's no problem. It's brood frame, open frame, honey frame, fresh frame, no big deal. But when you get into the mediums, at the time where they're really starting to pump up and get ready, sometimes those bees, depending on the flow and the weather, they get up into that, what was left of that honey super. They've ate that out, and then they're brooding up there, and they're not going back down yet. And they're up there brooding when the flow is happening. And sometimes they will get honey bound in one medium box above a deep because they haven't moved back down yet. And to me, that's aggravating, especially at such a small, when we were operating at such a small scale that if you're running, let's say 200, 300, or 400 colonies, and you end up with 20% of those or 40% of those all consistent, and they're all doing the same knuckleheaded thing, that's a lot of nukes you're not making because those bees are up in mediums. And there's only so much demand for medium nukes. So I really like the all deep format because cool. We want to bust them down for splits. Great. If a flow does hit, then you're talking about some serious honey in those boxes. But it's very hard to, I hate to say this is not an absolute, but I am, let's say, tremendously convicted that I cannot take the same colony and make bees and make honey off of it. Like I've got to choose what the path is for that colony and then push it in the direction.
Can I say my opinion on that? Now it is different down here, but what I actually find down here, it's almost an advantage if you pull a split out of every single double deep that's strong, because if you don't, no matter what you do, they're in the trees lots of times. And they don't even skip a beat. Like you pull a split off like in February, March, and you pull 3 or 4 or 5 good frames of bees out of there, and it just I think it kind of may temper them a little bit on their swarming tendency. But you come back a week later, you can't even tell you took a split out of there, and they rock on and they roll and they make plenty of honey if you time it right. I agree with you, Greg, as far as the double deeps go. To me, double deeps are more forgiving. There's nothing that one of the most beautiful things in beekeeping, obviously, is the honey boxes stacked, 5 or 6 high. You get 150, 200 pounds of honey off of a hive. That's awesome. However, another thing I love is like right now I go out and open these double deeps up, and they have the top box mostly honey. The bottom box has 3 or 4 good frames of brood in there. There's like a dome shape in there. Even in August, even in June when we pull honey off, if you stacked your honey boxes properly and the bees have had a place to put all the honey up above, if you could picture, people think of a bee box, they think, this is how I picture a bee box. This is what I want to see. I want to see bottom box during a good. Absolutely, Bracken. You got that right. There's no plans for that. I'm trying to get rid of honey, of deeps for honey. But anyway, so I like to picture the bottom box during the peak of the season. 6-8 frames of brood in the bottom box. Second deep box, I would like to see 2 or 3 frames of brood, and then like a dome, not just side to side. On the outside, you want to see honey, and then you want to see pollen kind of in the middle, but you want to see that dome shape, like both side to side and front to back.
Yeah.
You pull those frames out, and you got it like side to side this way, and then you pull them out, and you got that dome on those top frames like this. There's really nothing a whole lot more beautiful than that. And then when that fall flow kicks in, what I've been seeing this year, and these boxes have been so heavy, I can't hardly pull them apart, is that top box is basically all honey, and they've condensed that dome now into 3 or 4 frames in the bottom box, same thing. And that honey surrounds it, the pollen surrounds it, and then as they eat through that for the winter, they work their way back up, and then bang, in January, the idea is they'll start growing again, and hopefully I could pull a split out. Hopefully the brood will be moved up enough then to pull 2 or 3 frames of brood out of the middle, good solid frame or 2 of food, and stick it in that new nuke. Take that nuke away, put a new queen in there, and I've got a split ready to go, and put new frames, like push those frames from the outside in that I pull, put new frames on the outside of that top box or wherever I have to put them, and then just move on and rock on. And I love double deeps for the very reason you said, Greg. All the frames are they're all the same size. I do have a lot of deeps and mediums that I've just that has become the brood box. Really, it's probably not quite big enough. If we have a good fall flow, it's not quite big enough. I will say, though, when the honey flow kicks in, though, if I make these new splits in the spring, especially the later splits, like maybe in April, right when the honey flow is kicking in, if I make a split, I will actually utilize that as a single deep management through the summer. And then I try to add a box on later and give them room to move and grow if they can. Maybe with the fall flow, they'll move up into it. I did that some of the ones that were single deeps. I put a second box on there and they moved right up into it, especially if it's got comb in there during the fall flow. And so it's just really cool when they do things the way you want them to. But when it comes to honey production, I've got to stay in mediums because those dang deeps are ridiculously heavy.
I know.
And the thing is, like you said, Greg, the problem with deeps is you're in no man's land, because with deeps, maybe they'll fill them all the way up in a good flow, but maybe they won't.
Right.
They're much more able to fill a medium up. You can, there's never a guarantee, but to me, it's easier to just add a medium on there. And as it gets about full, add another medium on there and stack them that way one at a time. And then the bottom box, they still have room enough to do what they have to do to keep their brood nest and their hive healthy. And then we stack the honey above the second deep, typically is what I like to do, above the queen excluder, and everything above that queen excluder I take, and then they're back in that double deep, and now we can manage them through the rest of the year until next year. But medium boxes, to me, I mean, I know you're much bigger, stronger guy than I am, but man, deep boxes about to kill me. If you got a lift like Ian, it's one thing, but I don't have one of those. My lift is right here. Plus, my lift is in the comment section right here. Glade and Bracken, and if Jed's in there,
when your lift deeps, you're in trouble. But you mentioned something there that's like, I think, super critical, and for folks who are growing in their journey of busting colonies down, getting them to peak out of flow, pulling nukes out, and trying to get honey. There's actually a little bit of a sweet spot, and if you can get it just right, it's a beautiful thing. Because if you think about the prime age of the bee population inside of a colony to fully capitalize on a heavy flow, it's not the nurse bees. It's those older field forage bees that can bring those in. So if you can time it to where just ahead of peak flow, you can pull the brood back in that colony for that time period and have where the field force is still there, you know, especially if you do this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right ahead of peak. If you want to pull some brood out of there and drop in some drawn comb or even some fresh frames there, you know, that field force, that colony is now is squelched from that swarm tendency, but the field force is still there, and that is the age group of bees that are primarily doing all of the work, bringing all of those goods in. So you're not really setting that colony back per se in that time frame. You're capitalizing on that honey flow. They'll still build up and still brood back up again, but it slows it down just enough where they can. It almost seems like just focus on honey flow. Now, if you pull too much of that out of there, you know, that could be a problem, because especially if you pull out, you know, 8 out of 20 frames and you put 8 brand new you know, pure cell frames and foundation in there, those bees are have to pull and draw all that. All the incoming resources may go in to drawing wax. That could slow that thing down. But pulling just enough out, dropping some fresh frames in there, giving them a little bit of space. But what's as I get a little bit better every year with beekeeping, you start to think about the nuanced details. And sometimes those nuanced details end up being huge. When you think about the age group of the colony, how old they actually are, who does what work, and when they're going to peak on that growth curve, you can use that to your advantage. And sometimes, you know, that's when you can sometimes rub 2 nickels together and get a quarter. You can't rub 2 pennies together anymore, I guess, because I guess pennies are extinct.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I just, you know, we'll talk more about honey again in the spring, I'm sure. But man, I just love, that's one of my favorite times of year is when I've got the colonies, how I like them. I really don't go in the brood box anymore, hardly unless I see a problem. I pretty much just crack lids, look and see how the honey's coming in. If I feel like I need to add a box, I will. If one's weak, I'll take a box from that one, move it to another one. And just, I like to kind of go through and manage them colony by colony and just have some supers on my truck or my trailer and just, oh my gosh, let's add a super here. And I just like I don't stack them all. Some people will stack 3 or 4 boxes all at a time. I don't do that. I just put them on usually about 1 at a time. Maybe during the peak flow, I may put 2, but I just let them, I kind of go out there each week and just kind of crack them open and just add boxes as they need it. And I found that they tend to really fill them up nicely that way. And then if I go to a colony that's weak, say I've got a colony that's a double deep and it's got 3 boxes stacked on it, and you know, the rest of them are packing it in and filling it up. You got honey all the way to the lid, and then you go in one, there's nothing in that top box. Then I'll take the boxes off until I get down to where the bees are and put them on other colonies, and just so they can maximize it, because otherwise that colony may be weak, and every once in a while you'll find a problem that way too. But some colonies just kind of tend to fizzle out sometimes. They're just not as strong. They're not as good at producing honey. And so you can kind of manage that as you go along. But that's kind of, like you say, the nuances of it, Greg. You kind of get to where you kind of figure some of those things out, and you figure out how to maximize things a little better. And that's one thing where it works well when you have drawn comb as well. If you're a new beekeeper and you don't have anything but foundation or empty frames, you know, if your foundation is whatever, they have to put forth the work to build those frames out. And so they can't, you throw a box of drawn comb on there, they can fill it up immediately. They clean it up, they fill it up, and they cap it pretty quickly. And so I will say probably the fastest drawn ever foundation I've seen, though, were those what they call those infinity frames, Brian.
Yeah.
Those things from Michael, is that his name? Michael up there. Things, they drew those things out so fast. But on a good flow, they'll draw almost anything out as long as it has some good wax coating on it. But those things were amazing. They drew those things out and filled them up like in a week, I think it was, or 10 days or whatever it was. It didn't take them long, but
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I know that's a conversation for another day. But as far as the double deep, I tend to agree. I've got deeps and mediums, but I'm much double deep to me it just is not as labor intensive, and it's great if you're going to be making splits like you're talking about, Greg. It works really well, because then they have plenty of room to grow up, and you can pull those splits. And you know, you got a single deep that's full of bees and packed out. You take out 3 or 4 frames. That really it hamstrings a little more than if it's a double deep. You know, you're taking 3 or 4 frames out of, I think. But down here it's very forgiving, because man, they start growing, they start building up big time in January, and so we have 2 or 3 months of growth before the big honey flow hits. Honey's trickling in, nectar's trickling in, but they really don't start packing it full of honey until April, May, early June are just like a fire hydrant hose. I mean, they just pour it in and then we're pretty much done. So it's fun. We could talk about this all night. That's why we keep having these chats.
Crazy.
4 years. 4 years going.
4 years worth. Yeah, we could keep talking about it. We always seem to find something to talk about.
There's a question for Greg on here.
Flower Street Farm Bees, Mr.
Yeah.
and Mrs. Zavada. Greg, for folks that want to support Nature's Image, do you plan on posting any knobby sales? Brian, thanks for the question. I would say stay tuned here to the stream team and our socials when that launches. We're doing things a lot different than we have in the past. Any small business could appreciate this. That it is never going to be in the best interest of a small business to get into the race to the bottom on pricing for products, especially when you're putting your highest quality product in at a race to the lowest quality products at the same price. And so we've done that for years. And it's just as a small business owner, that's not a race that we're going to be forced into to participate in any kind of a conference or an expo. The highest quality product is not the lowest priced, lowest quality product. So because of that, we have not been in a hurry to release any pricing, release any pre-sales. But I want to thank Brian for bringing that up. And I'm going to turn it back around to Mr. and Mrs. Zavada because they do a phenomenal job on creamed honey. And I'm proud to say that in my kitchen, Susie's been busy making a lot of sourdough bread, and there's always coffee and there's tea. And in there, I do have some left, a beautiful little assortment of some creamed honey from Flower Street Farm Bees. And they've got some unique offerings. Like one of the ones that is sitting right there is the matcha, for instance. What a unique creamed honey. Great for teas and things. Anyways, I bring that up because Brian and his wife are doing a great job with their small business. And I did see an email that came through today for Small Business Saturday. So what I would like to do is encourage folks, if you're listening here tonight or Thanksgiving or Friday or Saturday, go check out flowerstreetfarmbees.com. Check out their beautiful website. And I highly recommend the creamed honeys. The excellent products. I know that you'll love them as much as we have. And you're supporting somebody here in our local community. And I think that's a big deal. They're doing things the right way. They're working hard. They're putting in the work. And it shows in the quality of their products. So check them out, flowerstreetfarmbees.com, and get you some creamed honey. They'll be on, as I understand it, Brian and Tom will be on tonight doing Westward Bees live chat. Whose channel is that on?
I think they said it was going to be on Todd's.
Todd's
Loma Vista.
Loma Vista, or what? Loma Vista.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Because I did something on Sunday evening, or was it Saturday?
What'd you do, Bruce?
Or Monday. In this bucket right here, see that it says HH?
Hot honey.
That stands for hot honey. So Brian and I did a little consulting.
And yes.
My hot honey wasn't really hot. It was more just kind of tingly. So people liked it, but it was very, very mild. And so we added a little bit of a pepper that's actually hot to this. And not near as much as Brian does. So if Brian added as much as I think he adds, then it would be too much for me.
Yes.
But it actually got a little bit on my finger here. Right here. And first of all, it tastes sweet just for a second or two. And then it gives a nice little tingle, nice little burn, actually. But I would call it medium. And it just it doesn't go away. It keeps tingling. So it doesn't, lots of times with the previous hot honey we had, it would not last very long. But this goes ahead and it gives you that kick for a little while. So It's definitely hot honey this time. It's not.
Mhm.
It's not mild. It's not tingly.
But are your
honey. It's-
sweat beads developing sweat beads? Brian's, when you sweat from eating his hot honey, your sweat actually starts to sweat.
Yeah, I think it's not that hot, but it definitely is. It's hot.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna probably put some on the website and realize that it actually is hot this time. So if you order some from me, it's not going to be super mild. So anyway, I might need to just back off even a little bit more from what we added because it's a little bit too hot for me. But it definitely has a tingle to it now. So anyway,
I've got, for the
yeah,
honey that I specifically use for my hot honey, I've got 4 more gallons left. So, and then it's going to be a shift to plan B, because the honey that I've used for that, it was always a darker honey. So, and I didn't get much, fall crop this year. But I mean, 4 gallons, that'll get me through. I've got a December market. It's a 3-day weekend market that I'll do. And then I don't really advertise a lot after that. So that'll get me through a little bit. But yeah, that hot honey is,
yeah. Brian told me the trick to heat it up, and he was right. And I didn't use near as much as he does. So
yeah.
Anyway, it definitely has a tingle.
That process there, when you heat it up to 105 or so, you're not going that hot. And literally how I do mine, it's like 10 to 12 minutes. You're just actively stirring it, and then you hop spider it to filter it, and done and bottled.
What I did was I heated my honey bottling tank up to, I actually heated it up to 120, just long enough to get it up to that temperature. I put the peppers in the bucket, and then I put 12 pounds of honey in there, and then stirred it for like, I think 15 minutes actually, and then strained it. It worked.
Yeah.
Whatever I did, it worked. So
yeah, there you go.
But I don't keep my honey that hot. Typically, I don't keep it that hot, but I just did it hot more enough so it'd be easier to have it infuse. And maybe 10 minutes would have been enough. But anyway,
I feel like hot honey is a weird part of the market where when you're selling regular honey, it's like, oh, it's honey, right? It doesn't matter what level necessarily or timbre of sweetness. Like, it's sure there's different varietals, but no one's getting bent out of shape if your wildflower honey doesn't taste like orange. Like, that's not a big. But when you get into hot honey, when you get into the hot world and the culinary arts, you get into a bunch of weirdos that are even weirder and goofier than beekeepers. And, oh, you call that hot? That's not hot. That's right. And so it's like, if you get into hot honey, you almost have to have like, okay, here's basic hot honey, right? Here is, okay, this is hot, make you cry honey. And then here's like raise your grandma from the grave hot, just to satisfy all the people. And you got to make something so deathly hot to where like the label is scary. And like you imply like certain death if you eat this, like just to appease the knuckleheads who want stuff that literally will melt their face off when they eat it.
I was just thinking, I'm like, next year I should probably expand and like do one that's not quite as hot, do the mixture that I have now, and then make up an even hotter hot honey than I have now. And I could put like a little sticker on it. I know they have a hot sauce and they have like a fry mixture. I've gotten it. Like it's the batter that you do with fried chicken and that. It's called Slap Your Mama. So that's great. I could have Slap Your Mama hot honey.
Boy, I love Slap Your Mama on a pork butt. Boy, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Miss Lisa, she said she's got 5 hot honey flavors. And heat, they'll be at Nobby. And I think if I remember right, looking at the map, we'll be neighbors again this year.
Close, yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, where are we at, guys? Hour and 26 minutes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Actually, look at this. So this year, I'm going to be at the old Nobby just for 2 days. I made myself a schedule.
Wow.
So nice. I know like on Friday from 9:30 to 10:30, there's a talk I want to see. 3:30 to 4:30, there's another talk, and then 5 to 6 on that Friday. Saturday, the whole morning, having their trade show. That way I can hang out and visit and do all that kind of stuff.
Sign autographs and take pictures.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually on Saturday, I signed up for one of those microscopy. It's that intermediate one that they were talking about. They said, know how to work a microscope and all that. I thought that'd be interesting, do some dissections and stuff like that. I'm into all that stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
You know what I'm excited for? I'm excited for Madison, Wisconsin, February 6th and 7th, the Midwest Honeybee Expo featuring the Streamteam Beekeeping Chat. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And I tell you what, go up there, folks, because we're going to have a very interactive chat.
Very interactive chat.
It's going to be the greatest interactive chat ever. No other interactive chat like it. Well, hour and a half.
What's one thing that you're really looking forward to this Thanksgiving?
Looking forward to that. What do we call it? Kentucky Derby pie, the Toll House pie, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking forward to some of that. Plus, just hanging out with family and just being able to have a little break, from work for a few days and just spend time with loved ones because we got a lot of loved ones here.
Nice.
But it's going to be busy. I think we're going to end up between family and people from church that are kind of, need a place to go for Thanksgiving and different things. We're going to have, I think, over 30 people at our lunch. Like, I don't know if we're going to have 40, but we're going to be pushing a lot. So
wow,
it's going to be a good time and a lot of good food and fellowship. And then that's the main thing I'm looking forward to is that. And then Friday I'll be in the bees again. Probably I'm going to apply. I'll apply Formic to the ones that need it still. And pretty much what I'm doing now, but we have to get it in there this weekend or probably, don't need to do it any later than that. So temperatures coming up are going to be, you saw it earlier, we're going to be highs in the 60s, upper 50s and 60s. And so it's going to be on that lower end of where it needs to be. But we're never more than a few days away from a good 60 or 70 degree day around here. So I don't know. I'm going to throw it in there. I ordered it. We'll see what happens. Hope it'll help. But that's my plan for the weekend. How about you, Brian?
I tell you, how our weather is up here, I'm not doing anything in the apiary for the next little while. I'm just tomorrow I'm looking forward to, I get to sleep in because the wife works, and we're not going anywhere until when she gets home, so I can relax all morning until she gets home. It'll just probably be myself and Eli waking up about 10 o'clock. I say that, but we'll be up earlier than that. But tomorrow I'll enjoy it. So I don't think as many family members are going to be down as what was originally planned. Just my brother lives up in the snow belt, so they're supposed to get all out slammed overnight starting tonight. He said if they get more than 6-8 inches closing on a foot of snow, he said they're not driving an hour, in a foot of snow for turkey. So, but I'll enjoy visiting with the family. It'll be there and just having that day off to rest, relax, and So on Saturday we're planning on doing the old small business Saturday. We always do. We're changing it up this year though. We normally go up to Chagrin Falls. Greg, you might know that area.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice small little town, Bruce. It's kind of like Norman Rockwell. It's just a real small little town. They do have a waterfall in it, but we're changing it up this year and we're going out towards my daughter and son-in-law. We're going to go out to Cuyahoga Falls. It's just a little north of Akron. So they've got a couple more shops and things in around there. So we're going to change it up for Small Business Saturday. and go out to Cuyahoga Falls. So, and I'll be like I do every year on Small Business Saturday. I'll be walking like this, looking at my phone periodically to check the Ohio State score. So, but good times coming up. So I'm just thankful, like I said, that I was able to get everything prepped in the apiary. I am. So, and Greg, I'm going to be messaging you because once I find out a number of what I need, I know I'm probably going to have to order 10 or 15 mediums from you.
I'm sure we can help you out one way or the other.
Yeah. It always happens when I drive down there. I say I'm going to leave with one thing and the trunk is filled.
Yep.
So,
well, if I would have had a better grip on the schedule and all that, I would have convinced you to come down when it's 20 some degrees and help me go yank bees out of the out yards and get them home here and set in place for the winter time. But I feel like every year
I do need a December Nature's Image Day. It normally happens. There's always a day in December.
Yep. Well, we might have to figure out something, or you just never know. They're just might just make you build a wall. There's just always something to do. I
think we did that in December, didn't we? Probably. Wasn't it late?
Oh, it's all, this is like, it's not an ideal. I tell you, this is the time of the year where everything there should be bee stuff that I'm doing to get them set and locked in for winter. But the other aspects of the business just kick into overdrive, where we're just, doing nothing but just wax dipping constantly to get semi trucks in and out. And God's been good, and our customer base has been awesome, and it's such a blessing for that part of the business to grow. But usually when I have you here, Brian, it's building walls or putting treatments on or reminding you how much you don't want to grow your apiary past a certain number. And
I tell you what, I could even, whatever kind of contraption you have to dip boxes, I could even stand there and be a grunt doing that. I don't care. You know me, it don't matter whether we're
there's always something on, whether we're building walls. Right now it's get all the bees set and locked in for wintertime. And anyways, it's always something, but anyways, what's, and I'm thankful for, our customer base and folks, that are in this community who, value quality, over cheap pricing or cheap quality. Because Lord knows there's an awful lot of knockoffs on the market now. Boxes being sold for ridiculously low prices, boxes that are infiltrating the market by known companies, that the boxes are coming straight from China. So folks are getting wise to that and are voting with their wallets and buying truly American-made products and supporting small companies who also value made in the USA. And because of that, we keep growing, and it's been such a blessing. So I'm just so thankful for all of our folks here, all the folks who for 4 years, there are so many folks on here. It's always great to see them at a conference or out and about, because you feel like you really know them after 4 years or so. We've had a lot of folks that we see on here tonight have been on for a tremendous part of that journey. I just had a thing pop up on Facebook today where it was like one of those then and nows, and I never do that and look, but it was interesting because it caught my attention. It was like from 2019, I think, when it was 999 subscribers, and now we're cruising up towards 12,000, and it feels like we don't get the traction or the views or the momentum with our style of channel. And then you're reminded how far you've come in a short amount of time. Then I looked back to remember, like, when did we actually start the YouTube channel? It was over 10 years ago. And to me, that just blows my mind. So I guess you could say we're long haulers. We're in it for the long run, and we are with everything that we do. We're not going anywhere. We're going to dig in and do the work, and slow and steady wins the race. that's what it feels like with the YouTube channel too. You know, we've been doing it for a really long time. So that's been a lot of fun to kind of help, you know, figure those things out. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to as far as our family Thanksgiving is just having all the kids in one place. As you guys know, the kids grow up and they start down their own journeys, and that can, you know, in the future look like you don't have all the kids all in one place. And so we're entering that phase of our parenthood where the kids are starting to get to that age where if they go out and spread their wings or they're out of state or something, you know, we might not get to have them with us every single holiday. So I'm just trying to enjoy all that, you know, while we can. I'm also trying to not get so wrapped up in the constant consumerism that happens this time of year too. That totally robs small business of focus. It robs a lot of family time from consumers because that's where they're spending all their time. I get it. Everybody wants a deal. Everybody wants to feel like they're saving some money. But one of the things that I think we need to be mindful of is as we are approaching this holiday season, you know, Americans have been programmed to do nothing but consume and consume a lot of things and consume a lot of cheap things without any thought on where they're actually coming from or who you're supporting when you're doing those things. And it's robbing a lot of family time. It's robbing a lot of time that you have very limited time to spend with family and friends. It robs a lot of that from a lot of folks. So I guess I would just encourage folks, you know, to maybe put the phones down occasionally, come up for air. Just because you're not in the middle of doing something. I'm going to encourage folks to try to take a second to pick up on your own personal patterns on how many times where there is not commotion going on and you feel like you have a free moment. Try to catch yourself how many times you're grabbing a phone to look and doom scroll over nothing. Spend some time, even if it's just doing nothing, be present in a room with somebody. Stay off the phones. Stop looking for fake reality on a phone when you're sitting right there in a room with living, breathing humans. Spend time with those folks while you can. We're getting into that season where it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse this time of year. So let's start now with recognizing those patterns, maybe trying to do a little better about that, and then spending time and doing things that actually matter. That thing right there, yeah, for sure. Your daily devotions is a huge thing, and I you know, Brian and I read now the same devotion, and I tell you, Brian, I can't tell you how many times where I'll crack open to that devotion for the day, and it is exactly the thing that I needed to hear. It's exactly the struggle that I'm going through, or the thing, the hindrance, or whatever that it is. If you want to pick up a good, healthy habit, how about pick up a daily devotional, even if it's just 1 minute? Get into the good habit of that, and I'll tell you, that'll make such a huge difference. You know, how many times have you said, wow, I feel like a better person, and I feel more productive, and I really have more value in life after doom scrolling for an hour? Nobody ever did. But here we all are. Anyways, don't get me started on that. That is a conversation for a different day, probably next podcast. But anyways, next week, fellas, next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Let's see. We're on Bruce's channel. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Bruce, any final thoughts for folks this Thanksgiving?
Not really. Just remember to be grateful for those things all around you. We all have so many things to be grateful for. And, you know, one practice, I don't do this near enough, but if you just kind of take a certain amount of time and just start just in your mind, think of all the things you're grateful for. You can do it in a matter of prayer or just in your mind and just say, I'm so thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my house, just start listing all the things you're thankful for. And before you know it, you can just list hundreds of things, literally. Just nothing's too corny to say, anything you're grateful for. And if you can catch yourself doing that on occasion, you can realize that, you know, we have no reason to be grouchy and unhappy all the time. We have so many things to be grateful for, even if we don't have a lot of things of material wealth. We all have things that we can be grateful for. Even those that are in the worst situations in life, there's something that they can be grateful for. And if you can if you can shift your mind to the positive things, you can shift your mind to attitude of gratitude, it just makes all the difference. You know, instead of needing more, wanting to have what so and so has, or wanting to be like so and so, you can just be grateful for what you have and be satisfied. I guess peace and satisfaction is what comes from that. And you know, last week you asked in a word, what am I grateful for? And you know, I wanted to say Jesus Christ, but you know, Susie said Jesus, but I just wanted to say that. I said the Savior, and that's number one. But you know, that's just the first part of it. It's, you know, we got family, we got we're grateful to have these bugs in a box. We're grateful for to live in this country, and even though it seems polarized right now, there are a lot of great things going on in the world, and so we need to just. That's why we have Thanksgiving, right? To focus on those things for a day, and if we can kind of use that to move us forward into the rest of the year, it can really help. And you don't have to reserve your gratitude for Thanksgiving; it can be any day of the year, and it can really make you put your mind in a better spot. And that's something I think that's real important to do. I don't do enough of it, but I have found myself out just walking, you know, going on a walk and just thinking about in my mind all those things. And Greg, like you said, this thing right here, which I'm guilty of it. I'm as bad as teenagers probably lots of times on this darn phone. But if you like you said, if there's quiet or silence in a room, or if you're walking down the road, or if you're out working in the yard or whatever, you know, how can you think about things like that? How can you think about being grateful? How can you think about your business plan? How can you do that if you've always got a podcast going? If you've always got something a video going, and you know, even if you're just listening to a video, if you always have this thing on and you're always looking at it or listening to it, that's what occupies your mind, and it's hard to really grow and develop your thought processes. And so I do miss that. I spend way too much time on my phone, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one thing I've been thinking a lot about lately, is how I need to just put that thing down, limit my time. And there are things. It's a tool. It's an incredible tool. These computers, phones are amazing tools, amazing devices. But I think that though they can be a great blessing, they can also be a curse. And you know, I don't know. I know some people on here. Anyone who's religious knows that I think the Lord actually allows men to create wonderful things and devices and great tools to further His work. But the adversary also knows how to use those tools, and he uses them very efficiently as well. And we have to decide how to, even if it's distractions, even if it's distractions on good things, we can spend way too much time and forget about the things that really matter most. So I could get on a soapbox on that too, Greg. Greg, you and I are good at that, I think, sometimes. But just remember what you're grateful for, and just really try and focus on priorities. And just that's what this whole season's about, starting at Thanksgiving all the way through Christmas. Just a time to reflect and contemplate and think about the things that matter most to help stimulate us, help get us ready for the coming year.
Awesome. Well said, Bruce. Brian, what about you? Any final word of thankfulness that you'd have for our stream team folks?
Yeah, I tell you, I can just piggyback off of what Bruce said. The last, you know, I was just sitting here thinking it's been in a 16-month time frame. I've lost 2 uncles, lost a father-in-law, have had numerous people in the family with cancer. The wife had her scare. So enjoy your time with family, folks. Like they said, these things here, you know, tomorrow, set them aside. Enjoy the time with family. Enjoy the time with friends, because I've really had an eye opener in the last like 16 months. It's just, you think you have all the time in the world, and then you get a phone call that, you know, well, your uncle had a heart attack, and, you know, you get another phone call, well, your uncle's in the hospital, he's going to pass away. And, you know, so enjoy that time, folks, because you never get that time back. So I can go down a pretty good rabbit hole talking about that, but I'll just leave it at that, and just tell everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving, and just be thankful for everything that you should be thankful for. So that is all. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Burns to wrap it up.
There's a lot that's been on my mind and on my heart. One of the things I think that I'm very thankful for is that something that actually someone said at church, that I'm thankful for all the things that I no longer have. I'm thankful for the man that I'm not anymore. I'm thankful that the old man is dead. I'm thankful that all of the things that used to hinder me aren't a part of who I am anymore. I'm thankful that God continually meets us where we're at, and that He's a God of second chances. And I'm so thankful that we live in a country where we can say just that. You know, a lot of folks, you know, no one talks about it, but it's going on right now, all over China and all over Nigeria. Folks who believe the same way that we do right now are being persecuted, imprisoned, and murdered and killed. And no one talks about that kind of thing. We're sitting here in this little comfort bubble on this side of the world, when there are there are ministers, there are preachers, there are congregation, there are families, there are kids being murdered, enslaved, and in prison because they believe in the Lord Jesus, and that's who they're putting their trust in. We have an awful lot to be thankful for here as Americans. Is everything perfect? No, it's not. Do we have all the answers? No, we don't. But we know the one who does. That's who we put our trust in. There is so much to be thankful for. And I'm just, I guess right now that's where my head space and my heart space is right now, is just thinking of all the folks in China, in Nigeria, other parts of this world who cannot express the thankfulness, who do not have the freedoms of speech, the freedoms to assembly, the freedoms of religion that we have here in the United States. We take that for granted. So I'm very thankful for all those things. Guys, I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for the stream team and all the folks who for 4 years tune in to hear us just talk about bees, life as a beekeeper, and just life in general. And we really appreciate you guys. We are so thankful for all you guys. Hope you guys have an incredibly blessed and wonderful Thanksgiving with your family and friends. We'll see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. on the Bruce's Bees YouTube channel. And until then, we want to remind you to be the lighthouse and be the change you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.